An NFL insider shares his top trade packages for Terry McLaurin. Trey Amos locking up Deebo Samuel at practice. And what does the new Commanders linebacking core look like in 2025? Hello everybody, my name is Grant Mitchell. Welcome back to the channel. If you have found your way here in your sub box or I'm in your recommended, just next up on the playlist, whatever the case may be, I'm here so that we can all talk about some news involving the Washington Commanders. Now I'm going to be reading you some reports. I am not doing original reporting. I'll be talking about what other people said, give you my opinion, and most importantly, ask for your opinion. This is what this channel is about. It's community, it's opening, it's welcoming, and we have conversations with one another. So if you have any thoughts on anything I say throughout this video, go to the comments section. I'll be responding to everybody below. And let's really try to figure some things out. You know, we're getting into June. The NFL season is starting to approach. Mandatory minicamp is starting today. Soon enough, we're going to have the preseason, and then we're going to be back in action, seeing if the Commanders can get back to the championship game and maybe even to the Super Bowl a couple of years ahead of when they'll host the draft, and maybe 5-6 years ahead of when they host the Super Bowl one day. I don't know about you guys watching. I'm assuming most of you are DC, DMV locals. If the Commanders get to host that Super Bowl in 2025, if they're not in it, then, I mean, I'm not going to have the finances to pay for a ticket to go watch, but I'll be in the area, and it would be quite the spectacle. But I'm blabbering right now. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you do want to be, if you just want to support me, honestly. And let's talk about the big news here. So like I said, we are going to start with 3 main topics today, and we'll see where we go from there. The biggest news story right now is involving Terry McLaurin. In my last video, I talked about my opinions on the McLaurin situation. I said that if they get a deal figured out, I would absolutely love it. I recognize Terry's importance to the on-field product and off-field. Huge locker room guy, chemistry guy, a long veteran of this Commanders franchise, but then also one of the best players in the league on the field. He was an all-pro last year. Well, if the Commanders can't figure out a new contract situation for Terry, who is holding out, then Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report has posed some trade packages that he thinks could be enough to get Terry and could be enough to get the Commanders to conceivably agree to the deals. So I'm going to go through these in order, talk about my favorites, maybe my thoughts on each one. The first one is from the Arizona Cardinals. The Commanders would get a 2026 second-round pick and an edge in Zaven Collins for Terry. Personally, I don't see why the Cardinals would do this. They're not in contention mode. They did just draft Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know what adding a soon-to-be 30-year-old receiver does for them. This next one, the Los Angeles Chargers, makes more sense to me. So the Commanders would get a 2026 second-round pick, a 2026 fourth-round pick, and Quentin Johnston for Terry and a third. Without that third, if that goes to a 5th or a 6th, I think that becomes a little more enticing. The Patriots offer, again, this is all rumored according to Christopher Knox, I think that was his name. Excuse me if I got that wrong. But the Patriots would get Terry McLaurin. The Commanders would get a 2026 second and tight end Austin Hooper. Now, Austin Hooper doesn't really do anything for this group. I think realistically, they would be better off going for a different player. That makes sense for the Patriots. They got a young quarterback. They are investing in the line. They tried to invest in receivers, but a lot of them, Jalen Polk, Kayshon Boutte, they haven't really worked out yet. Stephon Diggs is going to be 32. So Terry at least gives you a locker room guy, help you set the culture, good productive player. And then this is the big one. Actually, I'll save that for last. There's a Steelers package, which I find very interesting. The Steelers get Terry. The Commanders get a 2026 first-round pick, a 2027 fifth-round pick from the Cowboys. There's a package involving the Titans, try to get Cam Ward, a new guy. The Commanders would get Treylon Burks, a 26 second and 27 fifth in return. And then this is the big one. This is the one that has generated the most interest because it involves 2 star-type players on the move, 2 big markets. It's involving the New York Jets, where the Jets would get Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, and a 5th-round pick, and the Commanders would get a 2nd-round pick and Breece Hall. Now, this is the big one, and it's the one that I think is probably, if we're to take away whatever we know about the actual phone call conversations going on with everybody else, if I'm just lining all of these packages up and saying what would I be the most willing to do, it would be this one and the Steelers one. Again, that Steelers one was a 26 first, 27 fifth. But this one, where you send off Eckler, McLaurin, and a 5th, and you get back a second-round pick and Breece Hall, that one does stand out to me because, as we know, the Commanders really do need a running game. Now, as soon as you get Breece Hall, it then changes the complexion of the rest of the team. You lost Eckler, obviously, but can you move off of Brian Robinson Jr. with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt being there? Do you want to dip into the free agent market? I know that it looks like J.K. Dobbins is going to the Broncos and it looks like Nick Chubb is going to the Texans, but do you want to dip into the free agent market for a fourth guy? Do you elevate Chris Rodriguez and now he's your fourth guy? And maybe you try to trade Brian Robinson for a receiver? Brian Robinson in a pick for a better receiver? I don't know. There's a lot of directions that you could go with that. That's all I'm saying. And it would give the Commanders stability at an important position, running back, with a player who's Breece Hall is a top 10 running back in the league, and he's also young. I'm not saying I would do it, but I think as this continues to draw on, if you can't get a deal sorted out for Terry, I know this is going to be hard for people to understand and to hear, but Terry's going to be 30 years old. I think it's highly unlikely. Everything we know says it's practically improbable that he has a better season than the one he just had last year. Jaden had a great connection with Terry. Terry's by far the best skill position player. But if you're being asked to give more than $30 million a year to a player in their 30s who is declining, this is feeling like a Tyreek Hill sort of deal. Not that Terry is the same locker room guy as Tyreek. Terry's obviously much, much, much more important in that respect. And I don't think Terry's not injury prone. He's not suddenly going to shut down. His body won't betray him. But look at what the Dolphins find themselves. Look at the position they find themselves in, where they have 30-plus-year-old receiver making $30 million a year, and he's just not contributing at that level. He's declining every year, and now Tyreek is trying to force his way out. Again, Terry, I don't think would try to force his way out, but do you want to give that much money to a player who you've already seen the best of, and history tells us gonna come down pretty steeply over the next couple of years? I love Terry just as much as the next guy, but to everybody saying this is just agent-fueled nonsense and a trade would never happen, I would encourage you to reconsider that, because I do think it kind of has to be on the board at this point. These weren't reports, of course. This was just Christopher Knox's opinions on some top trade packages, but we'll see if anything materializes. And if it does, we will talk about it here, so hit that subscribe button. Another story we got involving rookie cornerback, second-round selection out of Ole Miss, Trey Amos. Now, as we have discussed here, Marshawn Lattimore has not been at the summer activities. The big three of him, Laramie Tunsil, who is back for mandatory minicamp, and Terry McLaurin, they were not at the voluntary OTA stuff. So Trey Amos was getting a lot of the cornerback one work, which meant defending against, among other people, Deebo Samuel. Well, according to Sleeper Commanders, a page that is affiliated with the Sleeper Fantasy Football page, Trey Amos has reportedly been turning heads, locking up Deebo Samuel on multiple occasions. There's been a lot of stuff involving Deebo, and I love that Deebo's embracing the new challenge with the new team, staying late after practice with Magee still, going over how to defend against different releases, how he tries to get past corners, that Mikey can take that knowledge and work it into his game. This is not me crapping on Deebo because he can't get open, but if this report is valid, then that's a good sign for Trey Amos. Not only, the NFL is not just an adjustment of you moving from the college game against college athletes to professional athletes. No, it's moving to a new state, adjusting to a new regimen, new wake-up times, new food. Your support system, is your family with you? Are your friends with you? Are you on your own? There's a lot of things that can go on. So for Trey Amos to have adjusted seemingly this quickly and be comfortable enough in himself and his ability to accept the challenge of being the number one corner in practice, only a voluntary offseason program, but still to accept that challenge and reportedly do well, that speaks a lot to me. I'm really excited to see him. Now, this is from an article from WUSA 9. The author is David Harrison here, and he has a couple of direct quotes. This one is coming from defensive backs coach Tommy Donatel. Just like Mike Sainristil last year, he feels like a second-year, third-year, fourth-year kind of player, the way he approaches the game and the way he understands it. And then Mike Sainristil chimed in, and he said, Trey's coming along great. He's going to be a very special player and is going to do special things this year, and he's been very, very consistent. He understands his responsibility, and where his help is, Donatell said, that's where he is ahead of the curve. So, yeah, just a guy who seems very down to earth. If you've seen some of the shorts, or Brian Colbert Jr. did an interview with him recently, he stays true to his motto, which is stay chill. I remember at some point someone had asked him like how he gets all juiced up before a game. He said, I don't get the adrenaline rush. I don't get any of that. I just stay chill, keep it cool. And that's who he seems to be. Cool, calm, and collected, and confident enough to handle the cornerback number one responsibilities during the OTA stuff. I will be updating you all with what we hear from mandatory minicamp. This is day 1 today as I'm recording this. I don't know if I'll have a video later today or tomorrow, but I will have the content, so check back for that. And then the final thing I wanted to get into, I'd contemplated talking about Laramie Tunsil being back in town. What does that mean for the team? But we all know what it means. When you have a quarterback who didn't have terrific protection last year, and you get one of the top 3 left tackles in the league over here and a first-round rookie over here, it's kind of obvious what's going to happen. You're going to get better pass protection, more time in the pocket, playbook opens up, and Jaden Daniels can potentially go for that MVP this year. But I didn't want to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the linebacking core, because this title stuck out to me. This is from Rigo's Rag, which is part of, I believe, the Fansided group, which is it's kind of a, Fansided is about team pages of fans and authors of particular teams. This is the Commanders team page. So the title of this article is Commanders Fuel Hype Around Breakout Year for Overlooked Linebacker. And then the little subheading is Joe Witt Jr. gave some significant praise to an unheralded member of this defense. And I had listened to the interview with Joe Witt Jr., and I did want to talk about it at some point. And because we kind of had that gap for the third story, I thought, why not do it today? Why not make today the day to talk about it? So what sparked this interest for me is Dominique Hampton. Rookie they drafted last year, safety at Washington, convert him to linebacker. He barely plays. I want to see him on the field this year. And from what I had heard from reports, and I believe from Joe Witt Jr.'s mouth himself, he said that the amount of space that Dominique Hampton and Jordan Magee, who is that unheralded linebacker that was mentioned, Jordan Magee and Dominique Hampton can cover so much ground because they are long, fast, rangy guys. Hampton, coming down from that safety spot, he's used to being in the open field. He's used to having to cover ground. If they can get to the point where they're tackling comfortably, then that makes the Commanders' offense so much more fast and gives you so much more variability. Right now, Bobby Wagner is going to control the middle of the field. He's going to get off after the passer when he can. Frankie Louvu in third and passing down, he's going to be rushing off the edge. But those two guys, as great as they are, they don't cover the field. They don't go sideline to sideline necessarily. They're awesome. I'm not taking any sort of shots at them. They have their strengths. They play to their strengths exceptionally well. This is just a different look for the Commanders, is all it is. If you remember when Dan Quinn was on the phone with Jordan Magee when he got drafted, Adam Peters says, we are going to draft Jordan Magee from Temple, man. How does that sound? Passes the phone over to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn says, bring that run and hit style to DC. We're going to do great things. Run and hit. We know about the hitting. That's all they preach, this coaching staff. They want to be physical. They want to produce the ball. The running part. Bobby Wagner, as great as he is at 35, 36 years old, he's not running sideline to sideline. Magee and Hampton, especially Hampton, having the bulk now. He has the speed of the safety, some of the coverage instincts. But now if he's bulked up to 230, 240, 250, and he has that size, I really want to see what this looks like. And maybe it's different combinations coming in. Maybe it's Hampton and Magee with Wagner in the middle, or maybe there's rotating them one at a time. Maybe Frankie Louvu's lined up at defensive end and you bring one of these guys out onto the field. It's the multiplicity and the variability and just having answers to questions. This is something that I use usually when I'm describing quarterbacks and when I'm describing great basketball players. But when somebody presents a question to you, how do you answer it? Usually defenses are the one who pose the questions, and it's up to the offense to answer them. Well, if Washington poses the question of Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner as the two linebackers with 4 guys down guys in front of them and 5 people in the secondary, and the other team's moving the ball, as we saw so frequently last year, well, what do? You just go deeper into the playbook. You try to figure it out. there wasn't really a bevy of personnel groups that you could try to look to come up with an answer. Well, if this ends up being feasible, where Hampton and or Magee can come onto the field and be that off-speed pitch, it changes everything. Changes how you defend against the run. With Kane Medrano also being there, thinking about some of the big nickels that you can have in there with Dominique Hampton and with Kane Medrano, you can put 3 linebackers on the field and not worry about being able to cover the tight end, because 2 of those guys, that was half their responsibility when they were playing in coverage. So it's just something that I'm excited to see. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything, but I do want to keep my eyes on this as we progress through the offseason. But guys, this is coming up to the end of the video. First of all, please let me know your thoughts on everything that we covered here. Second of all, let me know what you are going to be watching during this mandatory mini camp session. And if you want to be tuned into upcoming videos, hit the subscribe button. I will be posting more content as more news comes out. Hit the like button if you did enjoy, and I will catch you all in the next show. Have a great day.